Hi, my name is Eric now. Welcome to the Interface Media site. And this is our first ever online training tutorial. And in this movie, we're going to be looking at how you can create a custom wallpaper for your desktop using Photoshop. So basically, this is what we'll be creating, and we'll be creating it from this photograph. Now, the key thing when you're setting up a project like this is to make sure that you get the document set up in a way that will suit the display platform. So in my case, I know I'll be displaying this for my desktop. So I'll make sure that I get the dimensions that will align to that. So the easiest way to do that is to go to the file menu and then select new. The other way is just to press Ctrl+N on your keyboard. So I already saved the preset just so we could save time. And if you look at the dimensions, the width is set to 1366 pixels, the height is 768, and these are the dimensions for my monitor. The resolution is 300 pixels per centimeter, and the color mode is set to RGB. If we're designing for a poster, maybe this would have been CYMK, but I think for the desktop or any monitor-based media, RGB would work. And the bit depth is set to 16 bits. For the background contents, I've set this to transparent. White or any light shade of gray would work, but as a stylistic choice, just prefer to start working on a transparent background. So we'll create this file. Now we have our file set up. Look at that. It's 768 high and 1366 pixels wide. Now, once we have the document set up, we'll have to start loading in the images that we want to edit. So let's go to the file menu and then place embedded. So select the raw file. Okay. As it is, it's a pretty decent photograph. We don't have to make any significant changes to it. So just accept this and we'll have this loaded into our software. Now you'll notice that whenever you load a raw file in Photoshop, it will be converted into a smart object, and which will create problems when you're trying to crop this out because smart objects are not necessarily editable. So the first thing that you need to do is convert this to a rasterized object. So right click on the layer and then select rasterize. Okay. Now we can start making some edits. So I'll just grab my quick selection tool to make a selection. We want to separate the subject from the background. So what I'm going to do is select the background, just capture as much of it as possible, and right. So with the background selected, what we need is the subject. So but we have selected the background, so we need to reverse that by right clicking on the selection and then select inverse. Once we have done this, now we have got the subject selected, and we can just right click and then transfer the subject to another layer via copy. Now looks like nothing has changed, but if you look at the layers panel, we have got layer 1 and we have got the DSC 1384. So we'll toggle the visibility of this layer off so that we can just look at the layer 1. So once we have selected the subject, we'll have to convert this into a grayscale image, and we'll accomplish that by going to the edit menu, image menu, go to adjustments, and then select the threshold. So automatically the threshold will change these into highlights, midtones, and shadows. So what we need is to reduce this because at this point we can't make out much of anything. So depending on your skin tone or the darkness of the image, you might have to adjust the threshold level in a different way than I am right now. But the rule of thumb is the darker you are, the lighter the threshold level should be. The lower the threshold level should be. So let's reduce this. Now we can see the face the shade. So 32 looks decent, so we just leave it at that, and I'll select OK. Now we have the shadows, the highlights and the midtones, but we still don't have that level of transparency. So how do we accomplish that transparency? We will do that by selecting only the darker areas, and we'll do that by going to the select menu and then select the color range. Now by default it will be on sampled colors. We haven't sampled any colors yet, and we're not interested in sampled colors anyway. What we need is to select the shadows. So click on that, and then let's just accept these changes. So now we have got our selection, and we are going to transfer these to another layer by right clicking and then make a new layer via copy. So seems like nothing has changed as well, but if we toggle the visibility of the layer 1 off, we'll see that now we have our transparency. You can see the checkered boxes through the face, which means this is now a transparent image. So we don't need these two anymore, so just select them and delete them. Okay, so now we can start creating our background. So let's create a new layer, and then let's fill this out with gray. So what I'm going to do is go to the edit menu and then select fill. If you are using a previous version of Photoshop, you will have to go to the gradient tool. You will find the fill there, but in 2018 it's edit and then fill. So we need to fill this with a color, and we just select a light shade of gray. So accept that, and then we have that field. The problem at this point is we have got our layer 2 below the background, so we need to move this above. So let's just rename this. So this is the sketch, and as of this moment this is the background, so just name those sketch and BG. But if you notice, it looks pretty neat, but we're trying to give this a paper texture. So we can create the texture by targeting the background and then go to the filters menu. We're going to use the noise filter to create that texture. So go to noise and then add noise. So 9.25 looks okay. We can crank this up. That's just too rough, but I think let's just go 9.75. Accept that, and now we have our texture. So let's just scale this sketch up a little bit, and I'll click on the sketch and scale this down. Make sure you're holding shift so that you don't distort the image. By holding shift, you are letting Photoshop know that you want the image to be constrained according to its original proportions. So let's scale that up. I may scale that down and then accept that. So far so good. All right. So we have the paper texture, and we have the sketch. At this point, we can just save this out. It won't really make any difference, but I would just like to add another layer to this just to give it a little bit of a depth. So we'll select another layer, and then this time I'll go to the filters menu and then render clouds. So that should give it that dark tone, dark hue or something, but it's too dark, so we'll just adjust the feel of this, reduce it to something like 27.5. Okay, now that looks a little bit nice. And so if we wanted to make some changes to this, we have got that gray paper, but we might actually try to make this look like it's the paper is wearing out. So we can apply that effect by going to the layers menu, targeting it, and then apply an adjustment. And we're going to use the curves. And let's just go to the red channel, bring this up a little bit, and go to the green channel, and then also raise that up just a little bit, and the blue channel will bring it down. So kind of looks like our paper is wearing out. You know how that newspaper, how it tends, how it gets an orange tinge to it when it has stayed for quite a long time. So I think at this point we have what we need, and the last step is to save this, and we just save as, let's call this Eric BG, and save this as a JPEG. Okay, now we can just go to the folder and set this up as our desktop background. There you go. So thank you for watching. I hope you'll be around for my next tutorials. There will be plenty more on Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, Premiere Pro, Microsoft Word. So I hope I have you guys around. Bye bye.